And we'll begin. Nice gentle start. I'm going to easing into the week with plenty of time and a little bit of spaciousness, or the intention of spaciousness at the least. So we're going to start lying down on the back, unsurprisingly. And as you lie down on your back, notice if it feels good to spread out a bit. Sometimes it feels good to take the arms and legs out in a star shape. A little more breathing space. Yeah. And as you allow the physical body to settle, also perhaps the idea that the energy body or your nervous system is just also settling for these first few breaths of our practice together. And I've had the great and simple but great pleasure the last few mornings of noticing the birdsong in the mornings. If you're in an area where there are birds. And just that sense of the promise and the brightness of birdsong. And there's a certain optimism perhaps in it. And so we draw on the theme of birdsong for our practice today. Perhaps orienting towards finding the things which make us feel good even when there is challenge on the road at the moment. And so opening with a reading by the poet Siegfried Sassoon, who was writing after the First World War. He wrote the following, and it's called Everyone Sang. Everyone suddenly burst out singing, and I was filled with such delight, as prisoned birds must find in freedom, winging wildly across the white orchards and dark green fields, on, and out of sight. Everyone's voice was suddenly lifted, and beauty came like the setting sun. My heart was shaken with tears, and horror drifted away. Oh, but everyone was a bird, and the song was wordless. The singing will never be done. Oh, but everyone was a bird, and the song was wordless, and the singing will never be done. As you take a deep breath in through your nose, just exhaling out through your mouth. And the exhale, a song in its own right, the song of the exhale. That release, the promise of relief. From here, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. And start to float your arms overhead, take a stretch out. And slowly walking your feet in. And as you walk your feet in, take your feet a little bit wider than your hips. And let's swish the knees side to side. Much in the way that sometimes we might stop and notice birdsong, take a moment to just enjoy that sense of swishing the knees, a simple enjoyment of easeful movement. As you come back to center, Bring your feet about hip distance apart. Listen closely. Lift your pelvis up slightly, and could you slide it to the right, about 3 inches or so. So send your hips to the right, place them back down, and then bring both knees in towards your chest. We're going to take the knees over to the left into a twist. You can take your arms out if that feels good. Calm, slow breaths. If your right arm is kind of floating or the shoulders off the floor, you can rest the right hand on your hip, but inviting that right shoulder to drop down towards the mat. So we continue to focus on twists this month, awakening the spine. Start to come back to center. Once again, center your pelvis in the middle of your mat and then slide to the left, maybe 2 or 3 inches, knees come in, and then over to the right. And as an option, you could take your left hand to your left rib cage this time. Just become aware of the ribs. That's kind of where the song comes from. Feel the ribs expanding and closing as you breathe. As you come back to center, once again, center your pelvis. Hug your knees in towards your chest or your armpits. Let's start to curl the head and shoulders up off the floor, coming to a little ball, and then release the tailbone and the head back down. Let's repeat that. Curl in, snuggle, snuggle, and release down. And again, curling in. This time as you lower the head, float the knees above the hips, bring the shins parallel to the floor, and then curling in again. As you release, expanding the knees and the shins forwards. And take 3 or 4 more. If it feels good, you might start to straighten the legs a little bit more, lengthening out. It's this pulsing. And from the next time the legs come out, draw the knees in, hold behind the knees, take a little rock forwards and back, and see if you might rock up to a seated position, feet flat. Take your hands behind you, beautiful ones. Lean into your left palm. Could you sweep the right arm up and over to the left? That's it, yeah, exactly. Replace the right hand. Sweep the left arm diagonal to the right. Let's just continue that. That's it, fair. Beautiful. Yes, Tracy. Now this time as you come over to the right, to the left rather, as that right arm comes over, pause, maybe allow your knees to come to the left as well, in a glamorous side position, and then come back. Left arm sweeps, knees go to the right. How could you use this movement to create a sense of stretch and release in the spine, in your back muscles? Whilst your glutes get a little bit of a massage on the ground. Let's do a couple more. Just going where it feels good to go. And now this time as you come over to the left, knees go to the left, right arm comes to the left. Pause. Take that right hand to the base of the skull. Lift the elbow. Heart like a flower, reach into the sky. And then turn the heart towards the ground. Point the elbow towards the ground. Maybe even point the elbow towards that left hand. And a couple more. You can think about mobilizing and releasing all the structures in your back. Muscles, fascia, tendons, and ligaments. Let's start to sweep one last time to the right. Glamour pose. Hand to the base of the skull. Heart like a flower to the sky. And like a flower to the earth. Closing at night. Opening in the day. Let's take one more. Now from here, as you come back to center, I'm going to slide your feet round. Let's come to all fours. And a little wrist warm up. Turn your fingers to face the outside edges of the mat. And let's circle. I really like in practice to have my hands a little bit awake, a little bit active at most times. So my fingers are slightly spread. I'm pressing my fingertips down. And I'm going the other way. As you activate the hands, that helps to strengthen the forearms. It creates a little bit of kind of positive engagement up the arms to the shoulders. Let's come back to center. From here, walk your hands forwards a couple inches. And let's pour down, hips, ribs, heart. Inhale to a low cobra. Bend your left knee, take a look at your toes over the shoulder. And center. And switch, right toes, look over the shoulder. And side to side, one more time. Twisting the spine. And then from here, let's press back into a downward dog. First one. And walk it out. Wiggling in. And that's it, David. Lovely, Ava, lovely, Sina. Take another 3 breaths here, folks. And let's start to flow. From your downward dog, inhale, plank position. Exhale, downward dog. 2 more. Flirting with the plank as always. From your downward dog, inhale with the right leg. If it feels good, bend that top knee. Release the hip a bit to the side, turn the pelvis out. And then exhale, knee into the chest, scoop in. Take the leg back, scorpion tail. This time, step forwards, back knee on the floor. Arms coming up. Circle those wrists. Wiggle those elbows. Octopus arms. Get it moving. Yeah. Yes, Sasuke. Going for it. From here, arms rise, breath in. Hands to Mother Earth. Right hand lifts to the sky. Circle that top arm 2 times. This time as the hand comes down, tuck your back toes, split dog, right leg comes up. Inhale to a plank on one foot, and then lower the foot, knees down, chaturanga on the knees. Cobra breathing in. Down dog exhaling. Take a breath or 2 here. In your down dog, lift your sitting bones, stick your bum up, and left leg lift. Scorpion tail. Let's take a moment. See if both arms can stay pretty straight here, not collapsing. Then exhale, knee to chest. And back. And this time stepping forwards, back knee down. Arms lifting. Kind of free movement. The octopus arm thing is really just about feeling into what needs releasing. Being a bit light-hearted. Birdsong. Inhale, arms rise to the heavens. Hands to the earth. Left arm lifts. Circles twice. That's it, Alex. Yeah, really turn the chest. Hand comes down. Step back, split dog, left leg lifts. Plank position with the leg floating just for a moment. Foot down. Either chaturanga on the knees or chaturanga off the knees. Downward facing dog. Let's take a deep inhale. Exhale through your mouth. 2 more lines breaths. Waking up the body. Breathing through the nose. Now inhale, right leg lift, scorpion tail. Knee to chest, scoop in. 2 more this time. Leg comes back. Knee to chest, scoop your belly in. Last one. And now this time, stepping forwards, high lunge, rising up, arms overhead. For a moment, let your hands just dangle down. Slightly bend your back knee today. And use that to tuck the tailbone a little bit. You might get more of a stretch on the front thigh. Let's experiment here. Lift the arms up as you inhale. Just kind of feel into the front of the body. How could you soften through the front of the body? Imagine I was going to ask you to sing right now. If you're really, really tense and really fighting, it would be hard to sing. But what would it be like to relax the throat, relax the front of the body enough so that you could sing, or at least breathe easily, right? From here, step forwards, knee into the chest. Hold your knee. Open your left arm out to the side, standing twist. That's it, Megan. From here, come back, hold the knee. Step back, high lunge, this time straightening the back leg. Palms together at the heart. As you exhale, twist to the right. As you inhale, back to center. Exhale, warrior 2, back heel down. And again, as you reverse, let's breathe here. Front knee stays bent. And as you lift the chin slightly, lengthening the throat, in the sense that, although there's strength, there's enough softness that you could sing if you had to. If I was to sing, it would not be a beautiful sound, but I could make a sound. From here, warrior 2. And let's reverse. From here, bring your front elbow just above your front knee. Side angle. Left arm is by the ear. And check that palm is facing the floor. I like to push my right elbow down into my knee, a bit like a side plank. So the muscles under your armpit are really strong and steady. 2 more breaths. That's it, Shadi. Beautiful. From here, release your hands down around that front foot. Lift your back leg, split dog. In your split dog, scorpion tail, but could you level your hips to the ground in the scorpion today? Pelvis level, right heel coming in. Coming to a plank position with the scorpion tail, draw your lower ribs in. Foot comes down, chaturanga. And a downward dog. Taking 5 breaths. To make it more yin, take child's pose. If you want to make it more yang, I'm offering turbo dog today. As a refresh in turbo dog, elbows bend until they float just above the ground. And you squeeze the elbows in if you want a bit of fire. That's it, Sari. Lovely, Ava. 2 more breaths. Start to find your downward dog, folks. 3 lines breath. Inhale through the nose. Open your mouth. Exhale like a fierce song. And again. On your next inhale, left leg rises, scorpion tail. Knee to chest, scoop in. Push the hands into the floor. 2 more, take the leg back. Knee to chest. And back. Keep that left heel close to your bum. Knee to chest. And back. Bold step forwards, high lunge. Rising into power. But relaxing that back knee a little bit. Slightly tucking under. Again, a balance between strength and lightness. Strong enough to hold the balance. Light enough that there could be a song. Right? From here, slowly step forwards, knee to chest again. This time, right arm opens out to the side. Take a moment. And then returning, stepping back, high lunge. Lengthen the back leg this time, palms joining. Gathering hope to the heart, twist left. Inhale, center. Exhale, warrior two. Take a moment, settle into the legs here. And let's reverse. Take a sneak peek at your front knee. Is it still above the ankle or did it come back? Keep it above the ankle. The throat lengthened, the heart lifted. From here, warrior two. Reversing, elbow to knee, side angle pose. That top arm is straight as an arrow, the hand is active, and the palm is facing the ground. 4 more breaths. That's it, Fiona. Press into the back foot. And exactly, Megan. Sense that connection between your back heel and your right fingertips. It's like a power line through your body. From here, start to release your hands down to the floor. Split dog, left leg comes up, scorpion tail. This time again, level the pelvis to the ground. It's a little trickier. As you come forwards into the scorpion plank, draw your ribs in so your lower back doesn't collapse. Place the foot down, then chaturanga. Cobra as you breathe in. Child's pose as you breathe out this time. For a moment, let the breath settle. And let the elbows rest down. Forehead could rest down. Breathing deeply into the back of your body. From here, start to walk your hands towards your knees, kneeling position. We're not here for too long. Take your hands a little bit behind you, turn the fingertips out. Right arm sweeps up to the left, like we did earlier, and switch sides. This time as you come over, the left palm could come down. If it feels good, lift the hips a little bit, and switch. 1 more each side. If you lift your hips, squeeze your glutes. And then now as you come forwards, walk your hands into a plank. Lower your forearms to the ground, palms flat. We've got our 1 minute hold in a plank coming up. We've been doing it all month. Here we go, lift the knees, holding a low plank for 60 seconds. Squeeze the glutes. Calm breath. Sit Shadi, draw your lower ribs in, lift your hips a tiny bit. That's it, Steph. Catherine, tiny tuck of the tailbone, teeny weeny little bit more, just a little tuck. Yeah, feel how your lower abs switch on when you do that. We're on 30 seconds, folks. Halfway there. And as an amusing thought, consider, could you sing right now? Maybe you could, maybe you couldn't. Even though the body's working hard, you are still breathing, right? Still breathing. Nearly there. We have 5, 4, 3, trust in your strength. 2, 1, lower your hips, Sphinx pose, breathing in. Lower down, half locust now. Lift your chest, reach the fingers back. If you like a little distraction, you can wiggle the fingertips, tickling the air. Option to lift the feet for the last 2 breaths. If you lift the feet, how straight could your legs be? Last breath. Lower down. From here, downward facing dog. Just one lion's breath. Let's keep some strength here. When you're ready, right leg lift, scorpion tail, big step forwards, high lunge, rising. Step forwards, knee to chest. Option 1, hold the knee. Option 2, right hand holds the outside edge of the foot for the standing twist. That's it, Saska. You could hold the foot, you could hold the knee. Stand tall and strong. 2 more breaths, that's it, Fiona. On your next exhale, step back, high lunge. Wobble, wobble, palms together, turn to the right, prayer twist. Either standing or elbow outside the knee. Again, check that front knee is above the front ankle still. Turning the ribcage. 1 more breath. Release, high lunge. Warrior 2, back heel down. Reversing, this time straighten the front leg. Triangle pose. The right hand reaches forwards, but the hip moves back in the opposite direction. Hand could rest on the shin, the foot, or perhaps even palm flat on the floor inside the front ankle if you have the space. Lovely, Shadi. Really spread the front toes. That's it, Finn. And yes, Suzanne, yeah, keep turning the shoulders as you are doing. From here, we're going to release Warrior 2. Okay, time for that brick. Find your brick. Could you bring it beautifully to the inside edge of your front ankle? You can probably guess where this is going in a sec. Step your back foot forwards about 1/3 of the way for pyramid pose. Pelvis square to the front of the mat. In pyramid, I find it helpful to actually have my foot turned in more than Warrior 2. So my back foot in a Warrior 2 is usually about here. In pyramid, I turn it in just a little bit more to get that back hip forwards. We're going to fold left hand down to the brick, right hand on your right hip. And now draw the right hip back. Breathe. This idea of checking in if you can sing, or if you could sing in the practice, is about finding a quality of relaxation, even when you're working a little bit. Allowing the breath to be a little more smooth and clear, so the nervous system feels happy. From here, start to turn your chest to the right, revolved pyramid. Optionally, right arm could come up, or maybe it stays on the hip. Focus on the spine, not the shoulder. 2 more breaths. From here, start to release, leave your brick on the floor, arms rising. Big step forwards, over the brick, knee comes into the chest. Draw the knee up a little bit higher this time, standing really tall. We're going to take the knee out to the side. Right hand is on your hip. As you hold here, option 1, hold the knee. Option 2, release the hands, palms join over the head in prayer. Use as hip flexors. We've got 4 more breaths here. 3. Point that foot. 2. And 1. Step back, high lunge. From here, reverse half moon. Step your brick forwards with the left hand. Left leg comes up. Turn the chest. You can lift that top arm up, but often it complicates things. So it's Really good to keep the hand on the hip too. Rotate. That's it, Catherine. Lift that back leg. Go for height, folks. Lovely, Megan. Feel your glutes. That's it, David. Straighten your leg even more. And from here, step the feet together at the front of the mat. Pick up your brick, bring it with you. Kisses for the brick. Thank you, beautiful brick. From here, brick is coming between the thighs, just above the knees. Get a little squeeze of the brick. We've got chair pose, hips back, arms forwards. I like to keep my arms parallel to the floor usually. As an option, lift your heels as you squeeze the brick. Eventually, thighs could be parallel to the floor if you want to go that low. 4 more breaths. It's a shaky one. 3. That's it, Saska. Strong knees. 2, 1. Heels down, remove the brick, fold. Lifting up halfway. Step or jump back. Vinyasa. Downward dog. And again, taking at least 5 breaths. For yin, child's pose. For yang, turbo dog. For a balance, stay in down dog. Balance of yang and yin. If you're in down dog, as a micro detail, feel the inner thighs rolling in and back. Like your inner thighs are wrapping in and back. Spread the toes. Lovely, Ava. Squeeze those elbows. 1 more breath. From here, downward dog. 1 lion's breath together. Letting it go. Left leg rising. Scorpion tail. Big step forwards. Second side, high lunge. Arms rising. As you step forwards, hold the knee, or maybe left hand holds the foot. Either way, think about rolling the rib cage to the right and keeping that right shoulder quite settled, quite relaxed, dropped. And return to center, stepping back, high lunge. Palms gather the promise of birdsong to the heart. Turn to the left. Prayer twist. You don't have to hook the elbow. You could. That's it, Finn. Yeah. Great, Shadi. Really lengthen the back leg here, folks. Push into the ball of the back foot. It kind of brightens the whole posture. Alex, turn your right heel in slightly, tiny bit. Yeah, perfect. Start to unwind, high lunge, warrior 2. As you reverse, the front leg lengthens. Quality of brightness in the heart area. Triangle. Again, sometimes it feels good to be a little bit taller in the triangle, not so low. You can really feel the expansion. Some of you might enjoy the palm on the floor. The lower you come, the more chance there is for that front hip to move forwards and turn out. So really focus on drawing that left hip back towards your back heel. Left hip moves back towards the back heel. That's it, everybody. And sense that connection of the lower ribs back into the back body. That's it, Megan, yeah. Specifically, that connection of front body to back body. Start to release. Warrior 2. Find your beautiful brick. Inside edge of the foot, it comes. Again, shortening your stance for pyramid. You know, many of you have practiced with me for many years now. What you might find is that the length of your pyramid gets a bit longer over time. Sometimes when you first start, it's quite small and that feels good. But over time, it can be a little bit longer, and that can also feel spacious. Right hand comes down. And using that left hand on your left hip as a reference point to move the hip back. Let's hold here. And if you're ever not 100% certain about the alignment, go for a balance of stability and ease. It's right at the root of classical yoga, the balance between stability and ease in the posture. So if you feel wobbly, how could you arrange the brick in the feet to feel more stable? Turn to the left, revolve the pyramid. As you turn, take your left hip back, but reach your ribcage forwards. Notice how that might turn you more. Maybe the arm comes up. Sometimes that back heel likes to lift up here, firmly root it down. From here, release. Get ready to step over that brick. Knee comes into the chest. And this time lifting it a little bit higher and taking the right knee out to the side. Draw up with the knee into a kind of variation of tree pose. If you squeeze the glutes of the standing leg, that might help you find more stability. And slowly return, step back, reverse half moon, right hand to the brick, step it forwards. Finding a warrior 3-like position first, and then that back leg is powerful and mighty. Point the foot and lift it, turning the chest. Revolve half moon. That's it, Shadi. Lift, lift, lift. Good, David. Really turn the rib cage. That's it, Alex. Back leg a little bit higher. Yes, Sina. As you begin to release, step forwards, forward fold. Once again, pick up your brick, bring it with you. So this time as you stand, bring the feet hip distance apart. We're going to hold the brick between the palms. What I mean by that is actually not gripping with the fingers too much. Have the brick between the palms, the fingers are free. That's going to encourage your chest and your shoulders to work a little bit more. As you stand, reach the brick out in front of you. And for a moment, check you're not popping your ribs out. So soften the lower ribs in. Now following me, gently squeeze the palms into the brick to feel your chest working. Arms are straight. And now could you reach the brick forwards a little bit so your chest hollows. From here, lift your shoulders up. And now squeeze your shoulders back. Pull your shoulders down. So we draw a square. Brick goes forwards, shoulders move forwards. Up, back, down. Keep squeezing the brick, one more. Up, back, down. We're going to reverse. Go forwards. And now shoulders are down, but draw them back. Shoulders are back, lift them up. Take the shoulders forwards, down. One more. These are called controlled articular rotations for the scapulae, and they can be surprisingly hard work. Let's release. Give the shoulders a little wiggle. As you learn to strengthen the muscles around your shoulder blades, that can really help with neck and shoulder tension in a positive way. It can help release that. So let's lower the brick down. And shall we enjoy just a nice regular vinyasa? Standing, inhale, palms to the heavens. Folding. Lifting up halfway. Step or lightly jump back. Lowering through. All the way to your down dog. From your downward dog, lower the knees. Let's take a few breaths in child's pose. The option to take the knees wider, you can take a wide knee child's pose, lowering down. From here, let's come to a seated position. It could be cross-legged or kneeling, whatever feels good. And grab your brick. So, once again, hold your brick between the palms, let the fingers be kind of free. And then straighten the arms out in front of you. And gently squeeze the hands into the brick. And then notice how your chest goes, it switches on. Yeah, pecs switch on, that's great. So press in. And now release. You could continue with this, or if you fancy something a little bit tricky, we're going to try and take the brick between the elbows. It's hard to pick it up. I tend to try and rest the brick on my leg, and then I'm going to pick it up with my inner elbows. Ta-da, hands free. And then once again, it's bringing the forearms perpendicular to the ground, squeezing the brick. Keep the hands apart. And can you push the brick forwards? It's really hard. Send the brick forwards, hollow the chest. 5, 4, I'm shaking. 3, 2, 1, release. Give your arms a wiggle. So we're going to come to lie down on the back and explore side crow in a reclined position, which we've been doing a bit these last few weeks. So if you come down, let's just do the legs first. So in side crow, the legs are really squeezing in, so your knees and your feet are squeezed in. Start with the legs floating, and then press your hands towards the ceiling, curl up, and now send your arms to the left. Keep the arms straight for now. Now can you bring your left knee to touch your right triceps or near abouts, and then press the knee and the arm together. Keep squeezing the knees in. Side crow is a twist with a lot of core engagement, but a lot of inner leg engagement. Slowly release. Let's go to the other side. You can exhale to come up. Get a bit of contact between the knee and the arm. Squeeze the legs. And then release, stretch it out for a moment. So we're going to do one more variation of this using the brick. So grab your brick. And now this time, I'm going to invite you, option 1, hold the brick between the hands. Well, this is really tricky. Option 2, rest your brick somewhere on the front of your body. Pick it up with the elbows. And keep the arms straight. So the arms are going to be straight. Palms are still in that push forwards position. Again, curl up. Arms to the left, and squeeze the knee in towards the arm. And now, can you start to bend the elbows? Imagine you're doing chaturanga in the arms. Can you get chaturanga arms here? So your elbows are squeezing in, elbows squeezing in. Come back to center. Ooh, second side, here we go. Start with the arms straight. If you drop the brick, no problem. Bend the elbows, keep the hands apart. And then let's release. Stretch out. I'm going to take a little rock to come up to sit. So in a lot of arm balances, what isn't taught so often is actually in many of the arm balances that we practice, there's a hugging in of the elbows, and so the pecs and your chest are quite active and switched on. It's one of the things that helps keep your shoulder stable and happy, and will also ultimately keep your wrists happy and steady. If you'd like to practice the arm balance, we're going to do that now. Otherwise, you can come back onto your back and really focus on the core and that chest engagement with the brick. So those of you coming into side crow, I know some of you are absolutely kind of comfortable with the pose, so if you're already comfortable, just come in. Otherwise, I'll guide you through it if you're kind of just starting to get there. We'll start in a squat position. Feet quite close together, knees close together. Then before I come in, I usually sit tall, so I try and lengthen the front of my torso, so I've got lots of space. And then I'm going to bring my right elbow outside my left knee. I can bring the knee up a little bit higher up the arm. And then, tricky bit, I've got to get my hands on the floor. Now my belly is a bit squished here, that's quite normal in this posture. And the hands are shoulder width apart, not wider. It's tempting to take them wider. Keep the hands shoulder width apart. Bend your elbows and lean forwards as you lift your hips. And as you lift your hips, squeeze the elbows in. Imagine that brick is there, and so your shoulders become really strong. You can sit the left hip down to the left elbow, and that might help you then get the feet up. Have a play with it on each side. That's it, sorry, yeah. I can see some of you on the back really going for it with the brick, that's beautiful. That's it, Catherine, bend your elbows more, come forwards even more. That's it, David. Lift that bottom leg up. Active thighs. Switch sides when you're ready, folks. Those of you who are comfortable with side crow, you've been working on the straight leg version, so if side crow feels fairly kind of accessible to you, what I'm going to invite you to do is to straighten the legs out to the side and get them really straight. If that's easy, the top leg then releases back and up into Vinyasa. It's a little something for everyone. And feel free to explore both sides in your own time. That's it, Catherine, squeeze your right elbow in, hugging in. And you can sit your right hip on your right elbow, Catherine, as well. Eventually it will go in that direction, and it's helpful. That's it, Megan. Yes, 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 yes. Squeeze those feet together. Heroic effort, folks. We are going to start cooling things down. So, when you've finished exploring, coming to lie down on the back, have your brick nearby. And if you got a bit frustrated with your brick, make friends with it again. It's got your best interests in mind and heart. Okay, from here, just walk your feet in. We're all going to take a supported bridge using the brick. If you don't have one, you can take a regular bridge. But I'm going to invite you to start off at quite a low height, so this kind of horizontal position, so not the highest height. And you're aiming to bring the brick beneath the sacrum. So that's that kind of bony plateau. It's not your tailbone, which feels very uncomfortable, and it's not in your lower back. And again, if you're unsure, search for what feels stable and steady, where the pelvis feels steady. Hold your brick with your hands either side, and optionally walk your legs long, and gently point your feet, like you're trying to reach the big toes towards the floor. Take a deep breath in like you're about to sing or release a note, and exhale through the mouth. 2 more. If you feel comfortable, you could stay here. Or now, if you want to go higher with the brick, you could walk the feet in. Lift your hips, lift your heels to help turn the brick and resting it across the sacrum. Across both of the SI joints, if you're familiar with that area. So both sides of the sacrum are supported. Again, you could straighten the legs if you want to go there. And notice if you are straightening the legs and pointing the feet, how that tends to lift the lower rib cage, lifts the chest into the back bend. A bit like a songbird swelling with the song before it sings. There's a final option. Those of you feeling a little bit adventurous, walk your feet in. What you can do here is bend your left knee and walk the foot towards your left hand until you can hold the ankle. If you have hold of the left ankle, lift the foot and point the foot, and then slide the foot back until you're resting on the top of the left foot. So your left knee is now bent, kind of like in a hero's pose, and you can wiggle the toes even further back towards your shoulder blades. You might notice as that left knee drops, you get a very deep hip flexor stretch on the left side. And it's a little bit like King Arthur's pose, kind of. If you bent one leg and took it back, switch sides. And if at any point your lower back starts to feel like it's satisfied and wants to come out, feel free. Those of you with the foot back and the knee bent, just keep that right knee in a little bit so it doesn't drift out to the side too much. Your next couple of breaths, start to release, curl down through the spine, and take a little windshield wipers with the legs. For a moment, you can take a happy baby. And then as a final release before we take Shavasana, I'm going to invite you gently just to come up again, just so that we can lie down. And we're going to lie down with the brick horizontally across the shoulder blades. So you could think about taking the brick kind of across where the bra strap might be, or directly behind the heart, behind the heart. So I'm going to put my brick on the floor. I'm going to lower myself and wiggle myself onto the brick until I feel the tips of my shoulder blades on it. It feels like it's behind my heart, my sternum. And then allowing the head to drop back. If that feels good, you could catch the forearms or the wrists overhead, and you could straighten the arms, or straighten the legs rather. Yeah. Again, this posture could be really helpful for upper back and neck tension if you experience that. But as far as possible, relaxing into it. And those of you with a lot of space in the spine, if you're quite bendy in your back, you can take it with the brick on that very high setting or very tall height. It's a little bit trickier to place. It's still kind of wider horizontally, but it's going to be a little bit higher. It's a bit trickier to get into. And your head probably isn't going to come onto the floor, but what you can do is you can cradle the back of the head, draw the elbows in, and dangle off the back of the brick, which can give you quite a lot of sensation if you like that kind of thing. But I'm supporting my head a bit. Your next 3 or 4 breaths, coming out and taking a rest lying down on your back in Shavasana. So, on the theme of birdsong, a sense of optimism and hope, even in challenging times, closing with a reading from Maya Angelou and her poem, Caged Bird. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till a current ends, and dips his wings in orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So as we draw to a close of this practice, feel free to rest longer if you have the time. Otherwise, deepening your breath. The breath which is the promise of freedom, like birdsong. Hope for the future. You might wiggle fingers and toes if that feels good. Stretching out if you wish. And slowly coming up to sit if you feel ready to, but only if. So, if you're seated, palms join, taking a little bow to the heart, the possibility of hope, the possibility of freedom, of a song. Invitation today or this week to listen to birdsong if you can, maybe. Let's close here. Peace, peace, peace. Shanti, shanti, shanti.